Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Back through the spirit and power Yahweh Shai Shai with another lesson. This one's titled, as you see on the screen here, same title, The Woman Israel. It's probably going to be two parts, more than likely. We do two parts here. There's a lot to get into, and I probably won't even, be able to cover it all. But we'll cover what I can cover, and we'll just, make a part one and a part two. All right, so the woman Israel, part one, starting in Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. It says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet." All right, and this woman is the nation of Israel. Okay, it says, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and the sun and the moon, represent, knowledge and wisdom. It says, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. All right, and those stars represent, the nation of Israel. And the crown pretty much represent, Israel, pretty much, with sovereignty and rulership within the earth, which is, pretty much the time period of the kingdom of heaven. All right. But yeah, just, sovereignty and rulership. All right. In the kingdom of heaven, and those 12 stars are talking about the Israelites. Okay. And we'll grab a couple quick points here. We'll grab this one first here. Daniel chapter 8. And okay, let me pull it up. Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. All right, says the little horn. Now, what we're about to read has nothing to do with Revelation chapter 12. This is simply a verse used to show that those stars, it's talking about the Israelites, okay? This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. It says, "And out of one of them came forth a little horn, all right, which waxed exceeding great." And that is also in the books of Revelation talking about a little horn, and it's talking about America, when it goes into that in Revelation. But here, this little horn is going to explain a little bit. It says, "And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east," all right, "and toward the pleasant land." This little horn in Daniel chapter 8 was actually talking about Antiochus' fourth Epiphanes of the Seleucid Empire, all right, going back to the time period of the Greeks. Daniel chapter 7, verse 6 talks about that Greek rulership coming up under Alexander the Greek. And upon his death, his four generals took over. And specifically, we're talking about the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Seleucid dynasty, that empire, all right? And from the Seleucid empire came forth Antiochus' fourth Epiphanes. He launched a campaign on Ptolemy, who actually took over Egypt, all right? And, just to make a long story short, Rome at some point stepped in, Antiochus, pretty much abandoned his campaign, but he was very angry. He's pissed off, and so he took out his anger on the pleasant land, as it calls it, which all this history is in First Maccabees, the first chapter, right? So he took out his anger on the pleasant land, which is talking about Jerusalem. Okay, so that's just a little small history dealing with that. But it says, and toward the east and toward the pleasant land, talking about Jerusalem. It says, "And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars." You see, some of the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. And that's pretty much the history that I just gave you from First Maccabees, the first chapter. All right, going into what we just talked about. All right, Antiochus' fourth Epiphanes taking out his anger, against Jerusalem. All right. So from there, we'll grab, this other one here, Genesis 37. All right, get over there. All right, Genesis 37. All right, it says, and we start at verse 9. It says, "And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren. And this is dealing with Yahusop, Joseph, okay? And told it his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars, you see, the 11 stars made obeisance to me, right? Excuse me. And these 11 stars are symbolic of, his 11 brothers, all right? Joseph was Joseph was the 11th brother, all right? Yahusat was the 11th. I think Benjamin was the 12th, all right? Benjamin. And but this is, with those two and his other brothers, the 10, which made 12. But he was talking about a dream that he had dealing with his 11 brothers. All right. And if you read this account, which is a beautiful dream, all right, it talks about the way that he envisioned, that dream that the Lord put on him. But as you see, stay on point. It says, but oh, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars. All right. Showing you that the stars are talking about the Israelites. And here this is specifically talking about 11 of the 12 tribes of Israel, because Yahusat was the 11th of the 12 of them. All right. It says, and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Okay. So we'll jump back over to I guess Revelation. Back to the Revelation 12. Because I don't think we need anything else. I should have my Bible here in my lap as well. So if I need to use that as a reference, I may use that. So if you hear some pages clicking, I may just use that. All right. But going back, so it says, verse 2 says, and she being with child, excuse me, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. All right. And pretty much this is going into the nation of Israel, pretty much being heavily persecuted and troubled under this rulership of that Roman Empire, that ancient Roman Empire. Okay. And let's grab let's do this. We'll grab Matthew chapter 11. All right, Matthew 11 and 11. It says, verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist, notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. You see, the kingdom of heaven, obviously talking about you Israelites. And, it says, and the violent take it by force. And we have been to several captivities, but, specifically, speaking of what we were speaking about, that Roman Empire, all right, back then, you had that Roman Empire, which was pretty much the most fierce nation that had risen up. All right. And it talks about that also in Daniel chapter 7. OK. About that empire that came up, and in Daniel chapter 7 it calls it a beast, but it says that fourth beast, dreadful, exceeding terrible, something like that. And and it was diverse, it was different from all the rest. Okay. Let's jump over here to where is it? Here it is, Micah chapter 5. I'm gonna actually turn there myself. Maybe I'll follow along with both. I want Micah chapter 5, verse 2. If this gets too complicated, we might just drop one of them. But I just want to make sure I cover, the necessary points here. So you just give me a second. All right, Micah chapter 5, verse 2. And we're going to read 2 and 3. It says, but thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. And this is talking about Yahushua, all right, from the very beginning. Like it says in Genesis, in the beginning was the Word, all right, and the Word was with the Lord, or something like that, for paraphrasing. But Yahushua was the Word made manifest, made into flesh. Yahushua was already there. His whole destiny, just like all of our lives, predestined, all right. His whole life even down to him dying on the cross for the sins of the Israelites. It was already written from the very beginning of the foundations of the earth. All right, Yahweh Shai was always there. Obviously after the Lord, created him, but you get what I'm saying though. Yahweh Shai was there. Okay, and so it was always his destiny, for part of his walk to be the savior of the Israelites, to die on the cross for the sins of the Israelites. Verse 3 says, it says, therefore will he give them up until the time that she, which travaileth, have brought forth, then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. All right, let's read one more time. It says, therefore will he give them up until the time that she, which travaileth, hath brought forth, then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. Right, so let's jump over here to Isaiah 66. And I'll pull this up as well on my phone. So give me a second here. You just have to bear with me with this lesson. All right, Isaiah 66. And we're going to grab verse 7. It says, before she travailed, she brought forth, before her pain came. Oh, I'm sorry, let me pull up on my screen. I forgot. So I was actually reading up my Bible that time. All right. So it says, before she travailed, she brought forth, before her pain came, she was delivered of a man child. Who hath heard such a thing, who hath seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? Which are rhetorical questions, and answers no. For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to the birth, and not cause to bring forth? Said the Lord. Shall I cause to bring forth, and shut the womb, said thy power. All right, pretty much like we just read, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence unto this very day, and that's what's going to happen. Because the scripture is going to talk about, being delivered, like the nation of Israel being delivered almost like birth pains. Okay, I believe that's in the Apocrypha. But yeah, and so all this, persecution, which is not that form of persecution, not yet, but just in the sense, just the heaviness, put it that way, the heaviness that we constantly have taken, from the ancient, time periods, even to now, this very day. All right, these things are going to continue to happen, and it's going to get worse in Jacob's trouble. All right, we're going to really be persecuted then. All right, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and we're going to continue suffering violence until we have been delivered. All right. So I think it's safe to say we can go back to Revelation chapter 12. We also flip there in the Bible. All right, just bear with me. Okay, so what verse? Revelation chapter 12, verse 3. All right, it says the red dragon Satan. All right. It says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. All right, and this is pretty much how the best way to say it, all the rulerships, little governments that came up of the Edomites. All right, which if I'm correct, because that's talked about in Revelation 17 chapter. Right? It says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. Right, that was from the Greeks up until the time of the British, and then America is talked about as the 8 that is of the 7. All right, that little horn, and what we were speaking about a while ago, the little horn in the book of Revelation is a different little horn from Daniel chapter 8. Okay, and Lord willing, the Spirit be on me. Actually, because I've been to that a bunch of times, the Spirit allows, I'll maybe do a lesson on Revelation 17 chapter, especially dealing with those, what we just spoke on, specifically those 7 mountains or whatever, right? Because that can be complicated for some individuals, and some, brothers pick it up easily. And then, most importantly, there's always newcomers. Okay, so everyone can be edified. Lord willing, you be edified from this lesson. Okay, but yeah, that's talked about over in the book of Revelation chapter 17. All right, where it says having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. All right, it says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. Right, once again, showing you that it's talking about the Israelites. That siren was right on point. It says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars and did cast them to the earth. All right. And it says the third part because this is dealing with now, Lord willing, I do a little small lesson that also dealing with that because there was after, because I talk about this often, especially at camp. All right. After Solomon's reign, which Solomon sinned against the Lord. So the Lord split his kingdom up, all right, between his son and his servant, Rehoboam and Jeroboam, all right. And to his son went the southern kingdom of Judah, which consisted of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and that northern kingdom of Israel, which were the remaining tribes, all right. Now, some of those northern kingdom Israelites were down in that southern kingdom at one point, all right, after, I believe this was after the Assyrian Empire, the Assyrian captivity, and so on and so forth. But it was primarily Benjamin, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, okay? Which are what? Three of the 12 tribes of Israel. So that's what it's talking about. When it says his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, all right? Stars dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel, the Israelites in general, if you will. And, it says the third part of the stars. It says, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. All right. And it says, verse 5 says, and she brought forth a man child. All right. And this was Yahushua. Okay. And he says, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. All right. And this was man, Herod, right? I always call him old bald head. Couldn't think of his name. Oh, Herod, though. All right, because he was the one slaughtering the children, which was no different from when was this in Egypt, right? Pharaoh slaughtering what was it? I think from like 2 years and under or something like that. If I'm correct, or I might be getting it backwards, but yeah, not Herod, but Pharaoh did the same thing. All right. And Moses, I believe it was Moses who escaped that. All right. And then you have the same thing here with the time period of Yahushua, and when Herod, was set up over the nation of Israel. Okay. And he sought to do the same thing. All right. Because he pretty much didn't he didn't want to see any opposition to his power seat, his rulership, or or however you want to put it. All right. It says, and she brought forth a man child, Mary birth in Yahushua. It says, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. All right. And talks about that. And let me see here. That's the verse I just read. So let's go to we'll stay in Revelation. I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 2. Right? Revelation chapter 2. Verse 26, it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I believe there's another precept in Psalms 2 and 8, if that's correct. Yeah. Psalms chapter 2 verse 8 says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. All right, so there you have it. And we'll actually jump over here as well, because I also speak on this a lot. But that is also another point that you can grab out from this verse 5, where it says, uh, that her child was caught up unto God, all right, to his throne, all right, Acts chapter 9. We speak about this a lot often. Don't need that though. All right, it says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And this cloud is talking about a chariot, a spaceship, if you will, for lack of better words. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which were angels. We know this from that white apparel. All right. It says, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. All right. And the scriptures tell you that he's going to return on the chariot. Behold, he comes with clouds, and every eye shall see him. All right. It also says that in several verses, I believe Revelation 1 and 7, every they that pierced him shall see him. All right, because he's coming on that great fathership talked about in 2nd Ezra 13th chapter. So many other places. All right, he's coming in power, great glory on a white horse. Great fathership. All right, pure power and glory. All right, to pretty much put down all rule like we just read. Okay. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 12. Let me see where we leave at. Okay, Revelation chapter 12, verse 5 says, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. All right, verse 6 says, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she hath a place prepared. As a matter of fact, before we get there, let's just go back. Let's go back to verse 5. It says, and she brought forth a man-child. Matter of fact, no, let's go back to verse 4. It says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, this is what, because we spoke on this, Herod, seeking to kill, the baby, Lord Yahushua. All right. So that history is talked about in Matthew, the 2nd chapter. All right. Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 says, now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, you see, it says, behold. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't go to it on my phone. Let me pull it up on my phone. I have the habit of reading out the scriptures. The hard copy, that is. Where are we going? Okay, Matthew chapter 2. Salaki for that. All right, Matthew chapter 2 from the top. It says, now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And this is expounded on the point that I just made before, where Herod was seeking to kill Lord Yahushua as an infant. Okay, it says, and when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Hamashiach should be born. Right, trying to find out where he was going to be born at. Listen close to this. It says, and they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Right, once again talking about Yahushua. It says, then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And so he sent out a search party, right? It says, and when ye have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also, which was lies and deceit. All right. It says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them. Right. It pretty much led them right to the direction. Right. It says it went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. And what do you think the star was? This is more likely a chariot. All right. But let's keep reading. It says, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with who? Mary, his mother. All right. It says, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto, and when you read this, it's so beautiful because it sounds almost like a movie, which I guess our life is, the Lord's movie. I mean, it just sounds like some kind of magical Disney story with the way it's worded, but this is real history though. All right, it says, and when they were come into the house, matter of fact, let's back up because I want to read it again because it's that context that it just it makes you want to dive into scriptures more. It says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them. All right, imagine this as you read it. Okay, imagine it in your mind, as imaginative as you can get. Just imagine it. All right, as a movie scene or something. It says, it went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And this was a whole band of individuals that sent out for this search. Because the churches will tell you that it was 3 wise men. Why? We don't know, because there's no numbers here. They see gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and they say 3. What a fool! No. What if one man couldn't carry all his gold? So maybe it were 2 men carrying gold. Maybe it was 3 men carrying frankincense. It was just 1 man carrying myrrh. So how can it be 3 men? You don't know. You don't know how much they brought. You just see the items of which they brought, and then you say 3 wise men. All right, but the churches ain't got it. They ain't got the truth. But anyways, it says, and being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. So even they were wise enough to listen to the warning from the Lord by a dream, right? And obviously all of them had the same dream, right? Because it says, and being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. You see, they skedaddled. They got up out of Dodge. Like, we're not going back to Herod and telling him nothing, because we just actually saw the true Messiah, all right, with his mother there being nursed in the middle of nowhere, and we had a dream about this. Something ain't right here, all right. It says, and when they were departed, right, the flight to Egypt, and when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. And this is not the Joseph of the ancient time period that was in Egypt, all right. It says, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Flee into Egypt, okay? It says, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And in Egypt, you had other, obviously the Egyptians who looked similar to the Israelites, but then you had other Israelites that were there. So, they mixed and blended right in, showing you right there that it ain't white Jesus, because his pale ass wouldn't be able to go to Egypt and hide amongst a bunch of darkies, right? He couldn't hide amongst a bunch of dark Israelites and dark Egyptians. It'd be impossible, okay? But we know he's false anyways, but that's just a good mention, okay? So this is what happened, with baby Yahushua. They fled into Egypt and dwelt amongst people that had the same similar complexion, which was easy for them to hide, all right? It says, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. You see, Yahushua, we're fulfilling the prophecy. Let's keep reading. I guess we can read this whole chapter since we already read so much. All right, Herod slaughters babies. See that title? Subtitle, it says, then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, all right, angry, pissed off, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem. This is what I just mentioned of the account similar to that happened in Egypt under Pharaoh of Egypt, okay? And here you have Pharaoh doing the same thing. It says it slew all the children, and Pharaoh, not Pharaoh, but Herod, knew that Yahushua was going to be a threat to his kingdom. But he didn't know which baby he was, all right. That's why he sent those men out to find him, to find exactly which baby and where, so he can slaughter baby Yahushua. Okay, it's why I hate him so much. All right, he wanted to kill Lord Yahushua as an infant and upset all prophecies. Okay, you know, because Yahushua came to fulfill prophecy. He said that himself. All right, or actually, he didn't say that exactly. He actually said, "I came to." I think he said, "What I came to fulfill the law." But either way, he still was a fulfiller of prophecies. Okay. And he's that most major prophecy because he's talked about all throughout the scriptures, Old Testament to the New. Okay, it says, then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem. And, right, Bayath Lacham, Bayath meaning house, Lacham meaning bread, Bethlehem, house of bread, Bayath Lacham, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So he went to slaughter, how can I say, he slaughtered 2 years old and under strategically, given the time frame that he knew of. All right, this was a strategic slaughter. He knew in which the time frame that Yahushua might have been, all right, in the age range, at least 2 years old, and no older than that. So from 2 years and under, wipe it out. All right, it says, verse 17 says, then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, Jeremiah. It says, in Ramah, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. All right, we'll come back to that verse. It says, but when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee, and he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. You see, the Lord used a prophecy on top of a prophecy. Oh man, that was beautiful. Let's go back to this verse here. Verse 18 says, in Ramah there was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and would not be comforted because they are not. And that prophecy was in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. All right, Jeremiah 31 and 15. Okay, it says, thus said Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel, which is Rachel, weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. All right. Once again, like we spoke earlier, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence. All right. It's going back to that, the Romans were fierce, man. They were fierce. It talks about that. As a matter of fact, Deuteronomy 28 is a good one. All right. Talking about in a nation of fierce countenance. All right. It was going to come upon us. All right. Talking about they shall not spare children. I believe there's a precept in Jeremiah 5 and 15 that backs up the Deuteronomy 28 chapter. All right. Those particular verses. All right. But those Romans, man, came coming, to persecute us in our lands. All right. So let's we'll get back over here to Revelation chapter 12. I'll pull it up simultaneously on the screen. I have to punch it in here. All right, let's get back over there. Let's see what verse we left off on. I think it was verse 6. Revelation chapter 12, verse 6. It says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,200 and because we were at verse 5. It says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And that was that, if I'm correct, that was that 350 years. All right. the 42 months, which that's going into another breakdown, which I haven't listened to that in a while. So maybe I'll go back and maybe I'll refresh myself on that. And if the spirit allows, I'll do a video on that. There's lessons to be done, man. There's always work to do. So, all right. Anyways, it says, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. All right, that 42 months equal to that 350
so Revelation chapter 12, verse 6 says, and the woman fled into the wilderness. All right, and keep in mind, as a refresher, that this woman that is talking about the nation of Israel. Okay, it says, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she hath a place prepared of God that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. And read more time. It says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, right? The Israelites, all right, talking about the time period of 70 AD. Okay, fled into the, actually they scattered, but the main portion where they ran into was into Africa, the west coast of Africa, where we were sold, on cargo, slave ships. All right, at Port of Judah, or the Fort of Judah, excuse me. All right, and all that history and stuff that you can research. Okay. So that's what it was talking about. All right, the Israelites who fled into Africa. And as a matter of fact, I think Yahushua wanted that. It says that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. And once again, that's that 350-year time period. All right. What was I just thinking about? Because it kind of jumps in Matthew. I want to grab Matthew real quick. I believe it's in there. Matthew 24. I just want to grab something that as well. So let's see here. All right, so it says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, Matthew 24:15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. You see, 70 AD. All right, different time period. It says, let them which is on the housetop not come down and take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. All right, women who has infants, who still breastfeed or whatever. It says, and woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. All right. And then it changes, right? So it says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And this is talking about the time period that we're living in now, all right? 70 AD was that most pivotal pinpoint, time in all history dealing with us Israelites. That new pivotal point in history, which is going to just blow the top on all history, all right, is going to be the time of Jacob's trouble, all right, which is spoken about in Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7, okay? Jacob's trouble, that's another great time of persecution where millions of Israelites will be slaughtered all over again. The difference is this time, everyone in the earth will be going through it as well, all right? There's going to be people around the earth from all nations who are going to be perishing during Jacob's trouble, but it's all about the house of Israel, correcting the house of Israel. That's what Jacob's trouble is about, right? It says, and except those days should be shortened. See, because once again, this is starting at verse 21 is dealing with the time period we're living in now that we're moving into. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened, right? The elect, the hopeful elect remnant, the ones who are returning back to the Lord now in these latter days, while there's still time, all right? So, I actually want to jump over because I'm thinking about this as well. So let's slide up here to Deuteronomy 28 because these are prophecies as well. All right. I just want to grab a couple specific verses. It's around here somewhere. Just bear with me for a second. Actually, you really can get all that, but I'm gonna try to minimize it here, and we're just gonna grab. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, here we'll start at 43. It says, actually, I really want to jump down some more. You know what? let me see here. Let's jump down some more. This is more so what I want right here. Verse 48, Deuteronomy 28 and 48, all right? It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Who went into this type of captivity? Only one nation of people, the Israelites, all right? And you can Google it, all right, and see the yokes of iron that were placed on our necks. Usually you'll see, the so-called Negroes mostly, in those particular pictures. Then sometimes you see the Gadites. But all of us were persecuted. But we're going to get into the point where I pull these few scriptures here up. All right, it says, the Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far. Excuse me. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Now, yes, it's good to note that other nations have had that eagle. All right. I believe even there were Israelites who had this eagle at one point. But we're talking about the ones who predominantly carry and bear, this eagle. All right. They bore this eagle for a while now. And that's talking about none other than America, which is Babylon the Great. He says, Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. This is also symbolizing just how fast they came. We may mention that, later on, but how fast they came to attack. Kind of, which it wasn't as easy as history. World history makes it sound, because according to the scriptures, when you really go and dig your research, the Israelites gave some pushback, all right? There was some hell, but ultimately, because of prophecy, it was meant for us to be overtaken, all right? It says, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And this was talking about the Romans, once again, under the leadership of Vespasian. Well, Domitian was the youngest of the two brothers, Titus and Domitian. I don't think he was out at war during this time, but Titus, he was old enough to go out, and fight battles with his father, right? And so under Vespasian, Titus was, I believe it was Titus who was told to, go and sack, the Israelites. All right. And so, and this was the end of that, pretty much, well, not the end of it really, but, speaking on that whole, what are they called? The, what was it? Was it the Flavian dynasty? I forget now. Hope that was right. But anyways, from around, 67, 68, 69 to about, I believe it was like 96. All right. Because Vespasian ruled for a certain time period. Then Titus reigned, and his reign was the shortest. And then Domitian, the younger brother of Titus, came along, and I believe he had the longest reign. All right. But anyways, it says, Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. The Romans coming into Jerusalem in 70 A.D. All right. It says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. You see? And that's what happened. All right. And these accounts are also accounted for in other, places. One of those being Josephus. All right. It talks about the 1.1 plus, million Jews that were, put to death. All right. And that's why we read what we read in Matthew 24. Yahushua, that was red letter. That was Yahushua warning. All right. About 70 AD. And Yahushua warning about Jacob's trouble, pretty much. Okay. He that being Judea flee into the mountains, flee into the interiors of Africa. And that was primarily that west coast of Africa, though we fled into other places as well. And those of us that did not get away either perished or were carted back to Rome, all right, to made gladiators and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's go back to Revelation 12. All right. Revelation chapter 12. What was that, verse 6? Yeah. It says, now you see how it all ties together. This says, Revelation 12:6, and the woman, the Israelites, fled into the wilderness, Africa, where she hath a place prepared of God, and that place being here in America, Babylon the Great, right, where we were sold on cargo ships, all right, to different, North America, South America, other portions of this world, but we're talking specifically about America, Babylon the Great, okay? All right, in that place that they should, where she hath a place prepared for her of God, that they should feed her there 1,203 days. All right, and that's pretty much going into how because these devils, they don't. Well, it's just we just read where it says they should not show favor to the old or young. So do you think they care about our well-being? No, of course not. So the Lord had to set up things like food stamps or welfare and different kind of child care systems. They even have like a different job like type system set up, right, to nourish the Israelites. Okay, it says, and there was war in heaven. All right, switching it up on us, it says, and there was a war in heaven. All right, and this is what the churches are going in. See, talking about angels and demons and this side or that side, and they're all in heaven like that. There's a power. If it makes me think about that one, which was, I think it was like Batman versus Superman, something like that. Lex Luthor was talking about if God is all powerful, he can't be all good. If all good, can't be all powerful. It kind of reminds me of that particular line that he said, because it's like, if you really truly think that there's something equal or worse, like that's able to overcome the Heavenly Father, then he's truly not all powerful now, is he? All right, and this is what the churches will have you go to believe if you believe that there was a war in heaven, and there is not no war in heaven. All right, because if there's something out there that can fight against the Lord, then ultimately he's not all powerful. But the scriptures tell you otherwise. All right, Isaiah 45 in one of those places, Deuteronomy 32 as well. Tell you that I, the Lord, do all these things. I control the right hand side, those good angels, and I control the left hand side, those evil angels. All right, and the chief one on the left hand side being the spiritual demon, Satan. Okay, and the Most High has a balance in all these things, and he controls both sides. All right, so that's why the scripture is going to talk about how he will do all his pleasure, because he is in control of everything, and there's never a time or ever will be where he is not. All right. So let's continue. It says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. All right. And that's going about these Edomites. OK, it says, and the dragon fought and his angels. All right. Because they have their military force. They have the submarines and, naval forces. And they have, tanks and all kinds of different devices, bombs and, choppers and planes and jets. And they got these different kind of space, not weapons, but, they have a whole space force per se. All right. And all of these things are to think, because they think that they're going to fight against the Lord, and furthermore think that they're going to win. All right. Here's another good point to note out from these false teachers that are popping up out of nowhere constantly. Well, some of them are not popping up. They've been here. But this whatever, I forget his name, Lewis, the guy Lewis, all right, talking about, Jacob's trouble, talking about some time for the Europeans and the other nations. And you see how stupid that sounds? The name, right? Jacob's trouble. If you just listen to the words, you'll see who the trouble is for. Because if the other nations are in trouble, why is it called Jacob's trouble? It should be called Jacob's rejoicing or something, all right? But no, they call it Jacob's trouble, okay? Because it's trouble for Jacob, not the heathen nations. They're going to get swept up into it because they are inhabitants of the earth, and the Lord is bringing judgment within the earth. But it's called Jacob's trouble because it's coming to correct the house of Israel. Jacob's trouble, right? Robert, we call Charlie Horse's trouble if it's coming to mess up all the pigs. It doesn't. You see, like these false prophets they make no sense. That's why they can't truly answer questions. They'll give their own vain opinions and some foul mouth, response and go about their business. But who cares? You're lost. All right. You're the apostle of the 2/3. Jacob's trouble has not happened yet, and we're moving into that time period. OK, well, there's going to be a lot of death, famine, slaughter, disease, and pestilences, so on and so forth. All right. It says, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angel. Excuse me. And to close that thought off, because here's another point that I want to make. Let's jump over here real quick before we continue on. Let me slide up real quick. All right. To Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. All right. Jacob's trouble. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up. Right. Michael the archangel. The number one ass kicker right underneath Yahushua. Why is he coming to fight if it's not trouble? If we're going to be running around busting heads and doing all these things to the Europeans and the other nations, what do we need Michael for? If the Lord is going to already put the spirit on Jake to rise up and get that vengeance, what do we need Michael to come down for? Why is Yahushua bringing the crew? You see, nothing but false doctrines. But as the scriptures say, the simple believeth every word, right? It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, which as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. All right, and that's going into Jacob's trouble. All right, because like I mentioned before, originally 70 AD was that most pivotal point of Israelite history, but that new pivotal point in Israelite history is going to be Jacob's trouble. All right. And that will be the new pivotal point in history, because we'll be living that history out until Yahushua comes and sets up the kingdom of heaven. All right. Like it says in, what's my chapter? 1 Corinthians 15 and 24. And then when the kingdom of heaven shall be delivered up unto the Most High, that kingdom of heaven is talking about the Israelites. All right. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. You see, just like it says in Jeremiah 30 and 7, Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And the he is going into the remnant only, not all the nation of Israel, the remnant of the nation of Israel. He shall be saved out of it. All right. And thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. You see? So ultimately, all Israel will get salvation. Some of us is just going to get it on this side, and the rest will get it when the kingdom of heaven is established. All right. So let's jump back. Continue on. Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. As we read 7. All right. Verse 8 says, we read 7 again. It says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought. Right, the whole crew, right, coming with Yahushua against the dragon, right, the Edomites, all right, the power seat right now on this earth, and the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. You see, you ever heard the term the white man's heaven and the black man's hell? That's pretty much what we're in right now, the white man's heaven, because the Edomites are in rulership, except that the international banking families have taken that rulership to themselves and left even their own people down here, you know, with the regular people. All right. He says, and they prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven, because the Lord's going to bring down all their little wicked devices. Right. I think it talks about that in where is it? Another beautiful chapter. I like this chapter. Let's jump over there real quick. I'm passing it though. A second here. Isaiah the 14th chapter. Right? Isaiah 14. Let me see which verse we're looking for. All right. Isaiah 14 and 12, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven? You see? From your power seat. How have all your tanks been stopped? Your machineries, your weaponry, all right? Your little space force. All your choppers and your planes and your jets. Your whole military might and force, your whole power seat is being thrown down now. All right, like it says in I think it's Isaiah 47. Come down and sit in dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. There is no throne. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Just meaning light bearer or light bringer, light carrier. All right. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground? Come down and sit in the dust, O virgins out of Babylon. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations through what? Your ways, your philosophies, your policies, sanctions, and other, infiltrations into these nations, like the scripture said through the actually, that's a good verse. But the other one I was thinking of where it says, yea, because he transgresseth by wine. That's going into all his little, policies, philosophies, and all his little ways and so on and so forth, right? Because he transgressed by wine. That's what it was talking about. Let me see here. It says, It says, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Verse 13 says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, right? It says, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. That's talking about you Israelites, right? There's other verses that back up the stars, okay? Daniel chapter 8, verse 9, and Genesis 37, I believe it's verse 10, or verse 9 and 10, you can read, okay? Just showing you that the stars are talking about the Israelites, all right? I will sit and also upon the mount of the congregation, you see, in the size of the North America. All right, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, which is just the grave. All right, to the sides of the pit. All right, excuse me. And they reiterate this. All right, going in deeply in 2 Thessalonians. All right, and the precept to those last couple of verses that we just read, 13 and 14, is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. All right. As a matter of fact, let's read this as well. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? You see, they're going to find out it's just been a bunch of old ass prunes, banking families, devils, right? They are the devil that the Bible speaks of, all right? But I thought it says that Satan fell from heaven. So how are we looking at Satan? How are we looking at the devil? Because the devil is no more than a man, all right? A seed line of people, to be more exact. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, international banking families, right? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? And who are those prisoners? You Israelites. Because you've yet to been told who you are, and they still refuse to tell you who you are. And they're going to live it down all the way to the bitter end when the Most High sends Yahushua to overthrow this wicked kingdom. All right. So let's jump back. All right. Revelation chapter 12. Let's find where we left off. Boom, boom, boom. All right. It says, yep, that war in heaven. It says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. All right, Revelation chapter 12, verse 9 says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, the old serpent, way back in Genesis chapter 3. I bring that out all the time. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. I'm going into that word subtle, all right? Showing you that it wasn't talking about a snake, all right? A crafty man that was in the garden, tempting Eve with power, tempting Eve with philosophy, all right? Poisoning the weaker, the mind of the weaker vessel, which is the woman. And she got into Adam's head, and boom, thus started that downward spiral. It says, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil. You see, they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. They're also called the border of wickedness. They're the wicked, Malachi 1 and 3. All right, and Satan, which just means adversary. Okay, Ha-Shatan, Ha meaning the, Shatan meaning adversary. All right, and Satan, adversary, which deceiveth the whole world, as we just read in Isaiah 14. All right. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation. This is what's coming for the children of Israel. Salvation. Who is salvation? Yahushua. Right? And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his Hamashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. You see, the devil and Satan, the adversary, all right, the accuser of our brother, because he does like the scripture saying, I think it's Zechariah 1 and 15. All right, I was a little displeased, and you helped forward the afflictions, putting all these things in front of our face. All right, I talked about this before, stemming from a marketing class. All right, you don't know that you want the new iPhone until they flash on the screen, right? You don't know you want to taste the new bacon cheeseburger with extra bacon, all right? And if you order it now in this limited time, we'll give you extra bacon for free, right? Just got you going all left from the Lord. And then they're trying to accuse us to the Lord. See? Because our people are simple. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know their sins. But once you get exposed to this truth, like Yahushua said, there's no more clothes for your sin. All right. So there's gonna come a point in time where everyone is gonna reap the benefits of their actions. All right. Though for some of them individuals is going to be a wicked reward. All right. Like it says in Revelation 22. I'll come quickly, my rewards are with me. There's rewards for the wicked as well as rewards for the righteous. All right. And some of these people are going to get wicked rewards. Okay. But stay on point. This is what these devils do. All right. They put all these stumbling blocks in the way of the Israelites and then turn around and try to accuse us to the Lord because they want that birthright back so bad. Like it says in Hebrews 12:16, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. And afterward, he sought it carefully with tears. All right, if a man is crying about this thing, you know he really want it back. They probably hate Edom. I'm talking about the original Edom, Esau, whose name was changed to Edom, their forefather. They probably hate him. Like, damn, this man sold his birthright. He probably wish he could be reincarnated so he can kill him. I'm serious, man. These devils, man. But you ain't getting it back, man. Your birthright, you through, man. You ain't. The kingdom of heaven is not for you. It was never meant for you. That's why the Lord wrote your story the way. If the kingdom of heaven was for you, why would He create you to be the wicked? Makes no sense, right? Because you're not the righteous. You're not the saints. The saints are the Israelites, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, the Native Americans. All right. The 12 tribes of Israel. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power. Like I mentioned earlier, 1 Corinthians 15:24, when the kingdom of heaven shall be delivered up to the Most High. All right. It says, and the kingdom of our power and the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. And it talks about how they give us no rest. Okay, and so we're not to give them no rest. I think that's in, I believe it was Isaiah 62, somewhere around 4 or 5 or somewhere around there. All right, give them no rest to establish Jerusalem, make them a praise in this earth. Just roughly paraphrasing. Okay, you have to check exactly what that verse is yourself. I believe it's in Isaiah 62, somewhere around where I mentioned. All right, but anyways, continue on. Verse 11 says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. Right? The Lord tells us to strive for the truth until death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Now, that doesn't mean every one of us is going to be put to death. Some of us will be preserved to actually see the beauty of our Lord crack in the sky with his chariot and all the angels. But some of us will be made martyrs. All right. Either way, it is a just lot to perish in the truth. Okay. And there's another beautiful point I want to make out because I believe it's in Matthew 24. I'm not going to go to it right now, but where it talks about, it might be in Luke 21. It's somewhere around there. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make, where it says that no head of your hair shall, actually, it might be in Revelation. But anyways, let's just make the point. It says where that no hair on your head shall perish, right? Well, you got to think about it. It says for those of us that did not a microchip, and this man, bow down to this man, his ways and his philosophies and so on and so forth, as according to Revelation 20:4, will be beheaded by way of the guillotine. All right. So a unlearned person will jump up and say, well, that's contradiction, right? If you said no head of your hair will perish. No. As Israelite men, we're not supposed to have long hair. So when that blade comes down to chop off your head, what does it cut? It cuts your neck. Your beard is not touched. The hair in your head is not touched. So the Bible won't contradict itself when it says no head of your hair being perished, right? You women, your hair could be up in a ponytail. Hell, I mean, not to put fear in you, but the Edomites could torture you, cut your hair off and stuff like that, and then put you under the guillotine. And then what? Well, none of your hairs are perished or are harmed, all right? Because only your neck was touched. But that's just a far-fetched thought, just because I thought about it. But anyways, let's continue. Stay on point. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, right? Yahushua dying on the cross for the sins of the nation of Israel only, right? And by the word of their testimony. It says, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. This is the time period we're moving into. Talking about the persecution and Jacob's trouble. All right. All this time period we're moving. This is the next phase of life that we're moving into right now. Let's read it again. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time, because his rulership is almost up. 2 Ezra chapter 6, verses 7 through 9. And Esau is the end of a time period, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that rulership of Yahushua is going to be forever. Okay, and always mention, when I mention this verse, Revelation 12:12, always mention Isaiah 59 and 19. All right, as a matter of fact, let's put it up on the screen. Oh, we're still in this Isaiah, so give me a second here. All right, actually, it's not going to let me. So let me do this. Yeah, there we go. All right, Isaiah 59 and 19, right? And it says, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. All right, that military prowess, all right, that might that they're going to have over us, because their blessing is the sword. We cannot defeat this man with this blessing, and we're not meant to. All right, our battle is not physical, carnal. Our battle is spiritual. All right, it says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against them. Right? Men getting spiritual powers. The angels of heaven coming to fight. Right? The chariots coming for salvation. You see? That standard. It also links up with Isaiah 11:11 and 11:12. But we're not going to go there right now. You can read it on your own time. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 12. We'll continue on so we can go and get through this. It's going to take me back. All right, cool. There we go. It says, all right, they accused him day and night. All right, and they overcame him. Revelation 12:11. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, Yahushua, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. All right, and that testimony being this truth, like it says in Revelation chapter 19 and 10, the testimony of Yahushua being the spirit of prophecy. All right, it says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. All right, Israel, like we mentioned, I believe it was the last session, in Matthew 11:12. All right, or the kingdom of heaven suffered violence. We suffered it back then. We've been suffering it, and we're going to suffer a whole entire persecution all over again. And where? In Jacob's trouble. That is real. Okay, and we haven't experienced that yet. And it is not for the Europeans and the other nations. It is for the nation of Israel. And all the nations will suffer from it, though. All right. It says that when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And that man-child being Yahushua, the Savior. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. Once again, that woman being Israel, the wilderness being Africa. And to her place where she is nourished for a time, you see. And that place that we came to eventually, well, not came, was sold to and brought to, all right, by cargo ships, is America, which is Babylon the Great, spiritual Sodom and Egypt. And it is the revival of the Roman Empire. All right. It says, into the wilderness, the interiors of Africa, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. And that was at 350 years that we mentioned. Okay. From the face of the serpent, and we know who the serpent is. It says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood, which is the same thing we just mentioned in Isaiah 59 and 19, the military might and prowess that they had. And we also, I believe we read it we went to Deuteronomy 28 chapter. All right. Daniel also prophesied about it, the ancient Roman Empire, but they're talking about like their power, where he says another beast. Man, you know what? I don't want to botch it up, so let's jump to Daniel just really quick. Daniel chapter 7. Let's jump really quick, so I can get the words right. I don't want to botch it up. All right. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. All right, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. All right, they had weapons of iron, they had armors of iron. All right, they were a fierce nation. All right, like we read in Deuteronomy 28 in a heartless army, and they had military prowess. All right, it says, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse, meaning different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. All right, which prompts me once again, talk about Revelation chapter 17. All right, if the Spirit is on me and the Spirit allows, I'll go into Revelation chapter 17. Okay. You know what? We can stop right there because we can read more, but we really only need verse 7. All right. So just go and jump back so we can just close this thing out. Revelation chapter 12, verse 15 says, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, right? That military strength, and that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And that happened in 70 AD. And, all right, we gave them some pushback. Ultimately, because of his prophecy, we got washed up out of there. Okay. Which is prior, the prior verses that we read, some of them anyways, not all of them, but some of them, we went into other verses dealing with, the persecution from the Romans, the ancient Roman Empire, 70 AD, fleeing to the Africa, so on and so forth. All right, we went through it. All right, if you forgot, play it back. All right, verse 16 says, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahushua. And we just mentioned that Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. All right, as a matter of fact, we'll grab it because we're done, and so we'll grab that and close off with that particular verse. All right, because this is what's going to lead up to this modern day persecution from these modern day Romans. All right. This revival of the Roman Empire, America, Babylon, the great spiritual Sodom and Egypt. All right, for doing this, Revelation chapter 19 and 10. All right, and I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. Worship power, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, and prophecy means what? To say before. And you know what? We're not going to end it there. We're going to grab this particular verse. We're going to end it on this one. Right. And that's why the Lord has raised up prophets. All right. To speak these things into existence. We're speaking the end time into existence. All right. Amos chapter 3, verse 7. It says, surely the Lord power will do nothing. The Lord Yahweh will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets, who he himself raised up through Yahushua, all right, who have the testimony of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy, which is prophesying, all right, as the elders, the apostles, elders are constantly, reiterating that the prophecies are the most important thing, all right, and there's some camps out there who need to get into prophecy more. It's a beautiful thing, to go out there and just teach on a regular, and I'm speaking myself as well, but, prophecy, is most, well, actually, I guess I do go into prophecy, but it's mostly those exhorting ones, talking about the kingdom of heaven, things like Isaiah, not Isaiah, but 1 Corinthians 15 chapter, Revelation, prophecies of the kingdom of heaven, but, we also have to prophesy about the evils that are going to come on this earth, things like Matthew 24, Luke 21, Luke 17, 2 Ezra 15, 16, and so on and so forth, man, because there's so many places that you can go dealing with prophecy, but, and there's prophecies all over, and things are happening, man, and we're in that end time, we're in that time period now, and time is more shorter than when we believe, right, and the scriptures even say that, all right, it's now time for you to wake up out of your sleep because your salvation is near to when you believe. All right, so, we're not going to keep rambling on. We're going to end it there. All right, Lord willing, you will edify. So next time, that's Raleigh. Shalom.